What if I told you, your heart isn't where your chest is, it's where your choices keep returning, again and again, like someone you can't forget no matter how hard you try. There was once a boy who believed his heart lived inside him, beating quietly beneath his ribs, doing its job without asking questions. He thought love was something that would come to him one day, like a visitor knocking on his door. He thought he would recognize it instantly, welcome it, and everything would make sense. But life doesn't work that way. One evening, he met someone. Not in a dramatic, cinematic way. No music, no perfect timing. Just a simple moment, a glance that lasted a second longer than usual. And something shifted. Not outside, but inside. For the first time, he felt his heart move. Not physically, but deeply, as if it had leaned toward someone else. Days passed, and he noticed something strange. His thoughts began to circle around her. His decisions started to consider her. His time, his energy, his attention, slowly, silently, started to belong somewhere else. That's when he realized something powerful. Your heart doesn't stay where it's placed by nature. It moves to where you place your attention. He thought his heart was his. But it wasn't anymore. He started waking up thinking about her. Smiling at things that reminded him of her. Even in a room full of people, his mind would drift, searching for her presence. And one day, sitting alone, he asked himself a question that changed everything. Where is my heart placed? Because it didn't feel like it was inside him anymore. It felt like it was somewhere else, with someone else. And that's the truth about the heart. It doesn't belong to the body. It belongs to what you consistently give yourself to. Love doesn't steal your heart. You hand it over, piece by piece, moment by moment. But here's where the story changes. Time passed, and things weren't as perfect as he imagined. Conversations became shorter. The warmth began to fade. The presence he once felt started to feel distant. And suddenly, the place where his heart lived, became quiet. That's when pain entered. Not loudly, not dramatically, but like a slow realization that something precious was no longer where it used to be. And pain has a strange way of revealing truth. Because in that silence, he understood something he had never thought about before. His heart wasn't just placed on a person, it was placed on the idea of being loved. He wasn't just holding on to her. He was holding on to how she made him feel. And that's when he saw it clearly. Your heart doesn't just go to people. It goes to feelings, to habits, to dreams, to fears, to whatever you return to, again and again. Some people place their hearts in ambition. Some in approval. Some in memories they can't let go of. And some place it in someone who was never meant to carry it. The boy realized he had never asked himself where his heart should be. He only followed where it wanted to go. But the heart, left unguided, can wander into places that don't deserve it. One night, he sat under the same sky where he once dreamed about her. But this time, he wasn't thinking about her. He was thinking about himself. For the first time, he asked a different question. Do I want my heart to stay there? Because placing your heart somewhere is a choice. Even if it doesn't feel like one. He began to take it back. Slowly, painfully, not by forgetting her, but by remembering himself. He started noticing the things he had ignored. His own passions, his own voice, the parts of him that had gone silent while his heart was somewhere else. And something beautiful happened. His heart didn't feel empty anymore. It felt free. Because when you choose where to place your heart, you stop losing yourself in places that cannot hold you. Love is not just about giving your heart away. It's about choosing where it deserves to rest. And sometimes, the greatest love story isn't about two people finding each other. It's about one person finding their way back to themselves. So if you ask me today, where is your heart placed? I won't point to my chest. I'll point to my choices. To the things I wake up for. To the people who bring peace, not confusion. To the dreams that make me grow, not shrink. Because your heart follows what you repeatedly choose. Not what you say, not what you promise, but what you return to, again and again. So ask yourself honestly, where is your heart placed right now? Is it in something that builds you, or something that slowly breaks you? Is it in someone who sees you, or someone you're still trying to convince? Is it in your purpose, or lost in distractions? Because at the end of the day, your life will follow your heart. And your heart will follow your focus. So choose carefully, because wherever you place your heart, that place will begin to shape who you become. There is a quiet truth most people don't notice until it's too late. Your heart does not follow what you say you want, it follows what you repeatedly give your attention to. You may tell yourself that you love something, or someone, but your heart listens to your actions, not your words. It watches where your time goes, where your thoughts wander when you are alone, what you choose when no one is watching. Imagine someone who says they love deeply, yet spends their days distracted, scrolling through moments that mean nothing, giving their energy to things that don't even remember them back. Slowly, without realizing it, their heart begins to settle in those empty spaces. Not because they intended it, but because attention is like water, it flows where you let it, and over time, it shapes everything it touches. Now think of love. Real love. It is not built in grand gestures or rare moments. It grows in the small, consistent places where attention lives. The messages you reply to, the voice you choose to hear, the person you think about before you sleep, this is where your heart begins to move. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but quietly, like a tide pulling you closer without asking for permission. This is why sometimes people wake up and realize they have fallen for someone they never planned to love. It wasn't a decision made in a single moment. It was built through attention, through shared conversations, through moments of presence, through choosing again and again to focus on that one person out of everyone else. But the same truth carries a warning. If your attention is scattered, your heart becomes scattered. If your focus is placed on things that drain you, your heart begins to feel heavy without you understanding why. You can intend to be strong, to be focused, to love the right things, but intention without attention is powerless. Your heart is always watching where you go. Every second you give is like a vote, quietly deciding what matters most in your life. And over time, those small votes become a direction, and that direction becomes your emotional home. Without realizing it, you don't just spend your attention, you place your heart wherever that attention stays the longest. Love has a way of revealing truths we try to hide from ourselves. You can pretend, you can convince your mind of many things, but when love enters your life, it acts like a mirror, it shows you exactly where your heart truly lives. Not where you wish it lived, not where it should be, but where it actually rests when all defenses fall away. There is something almost uncontrollable about it. You don't sit down and logically decide who will matter to you. Instead, you notice the small shifts. The way one person's presence feels different. The way their words stay with you longer than they should. The way your mood can change just because of a single message, or the absence of one. And suddenly, without any formal decision, your heart has chosen a place. Love exposes priority. In a world full of noise, full of people, full of responsibilities, the one you love becomes the signal you can't ignore. You make time when there is none. You listen more carefully. You remember details that would normally fade away. And in doing so, you start to see clearly, this is where your heart has been placed. Sometimes, this realization is beautiful. It feels like finding something you didn't know you were searching for. You feel alive, connected, seen in a way that makes everything else seem quieter. In those moments, love feels like clarity. It answers questions you didn't even know you had. But love doesn't always reveal comfortable truths. Sometimes, it shows you that your heart is invested in someone who doesn't hold it with the same care. It shows you that you've given parts of yourself to a place that cannot give back what you need. And that realization can be painful, because it strips away illusion. You can no longer pretend you don't care. You can no longer hide behind distractions. Love makes everything honest. It brings your feelings to the surface and asks you to face them, even when it's inconvenient, even when it hurts. It reveals what you value by showing you what you are willing to protect, what you are afraid to lose, and what you keep returning to even after you try to walk away. And in that honesty, you begin to understand that love is not just something you feel, it is something that uncovers the deepest placement of your heart. Distractions rarely arrive loudly. They don't announce themselves as something dangerous or harmful. Instead, they come dressed as comfort, as entertainment, as something small that feels harmless in the moment. A few minutes here, a little attention there, something to pass the time. And before you realize it, those small moments begin to collect, quietly taking space inside you. At first, it doesn't feel like anything is being lost. You still think about the things that matter. You still believe your heart is placed where it should be. But attention is a powerful currency, and every time you spend it on something meaningless, you are investing less in what truly deserves you. Not in a dramatic way, but in a slow, almost invisible shift. Imagine someone deeply in love, but constantly distracted. They are present, but not fully. They listen, but only halfway. Their mind is split between what is in front of them and what is pulling them away. Over time, the connection begins to weaken. Not because love disappeared, but because attention did. And without attention, even the strongest feelings begin to fade. Distractions don't just take your time, they take your presence. And presence is where the heart truly lives. When you are not fully there, your heart isn't fully there either. It begins to drift, attaching itself to whatever consistently receives your focus, even if that thing has no real value. This is how people slowly lose connection with what once mattered most. Not through one big mistake, but through many small moments of inattention. Choosing a screen over a conversation. Choosing noise over silence. Choosing comfort over depth. Each choice seems insignificant on its own, but together, they begin to redirect the heart. The danger is that distractions feel easier than love. Love requires effort, patience, and vulnerability. Distractions ask for nothing. They don't challenge you, they don't demand growth, they don't make you uncomfortable. And because of that, they become addictive. They give you the illusion of satisfaction without the depth of real connection. And while you are busy giving your attention to things that don't matter, the things that do matter begin to feel distant. Not because they moved away, but because your heart slowly did. Pain has a way of uncovering truths that comfort keeps hidden. When everything feels good, you rarely question where your heart is placed. You move through life assuming that what you feel is right, that what you are holding onto is meant for you. But the moment pain enters, it interrupts that illusion. It forces you to stop, to look closer, to feel deeper than you ever intended. In love, pain is never random. It always points to something. It reveals what you were holding onto, what you were hoping for, and where your heart had quietly settled without your full awareness. You might think you are strong, detached, in control, but when something hurts, it exposes the exact place where your heart was vulnerable. Think about the moments that hurt the most. It is never about everything, it is always about something specific. A person, a memory, a promise, a feeling that meant more to you than you realized. Pain highlights that connection. It draws a circle around it and says, this is where your heart was. Sometimes, you don't even notice how deeply you care until something begins to slip away. The silence of someone who used to be present. The distance where there used to be closeness. The change in tone, the absence of effort. These small shifts create a kind of ache that doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from attachment, from investment, from the quiet decision you made to place your heart there. Pain strips away denial. You can no longer pretend that something didn't matter. You can no longer hide behind distractions or logic. It brings everything to the surface and asks you to face it honestly. Why does this hurt? Why does this loss feel so heavy? Why does this absence feel louder than everything else in your life? And in searching for those answers, you begin to see clearly. Your heart had chosen a place, and now that place is no longer holding it the way it once did. There is also a strange clarity in pain. It shows you not just where your heart was, but whether that place deserved it. Whether the love, the time, the energy you gave was being honored or slowly taken for granted. It forces you to confront the difference between what you felt and what was real. Because pain does not lie. It does not exaggerate. It simply reveals, with brutal honesty, the exact location where your heart had been resting. Choosing where to place your heart is not something that happens once. It is a decision you make every single day, often without realizing it. It lives in the small moments, in the quiet choices, in the direction of your attention and the weight of your priorities. You may feel like your heart moves on its own, but in truth, you guide it with every action you take. There comes a point where you begin to understand that love is not just about feeling, it is about responsibility. Not the kind that feels heavy or forced, but the kind that asks you to be aware of where you are giving yourself. Because wherever you place your heart, you are allowing that place to shape you. You are allowing it to influence your peace, your thoughts, your sense of worth. It's easy to give your heart away when something feels right in the moment. When someone makes you feel seen, when something excites you, when a dream pulls you in with promise. But feelings can be temporary, and moments can be misleading. If you don't choose carefully, you may find your heart resting in places that cannot sustain it. Real love is not blind, it is intentional. It sees clearly and still chooses. It understands the risks and still commits, but not without awareness. Choosing where to place your heart means asking yourself difficult questions. Does this bring me peace or confusion? Does this help me grow or slowly pull me apart? Am I valued here, or am I constantly trying to prove my worth? It also means having the strength to move your heart when you realize it has been placed somewhere it shouldn't be. And that is not easy. Taking your heart back requires courage. It requires you to let go of familiarity, of comfort, of the hope that something might change even when it hasn't. But there is power in that choice. The moment you decide that your heart deserves better, you begin to reclaim parts of yourself you didn't even realize you had lost. You begin to place your energy into things that return it, into people who hold it with care, into purposes that give it meaning. Because in the end, love is not just about where your heart goes, it is about where you choose to let it stay.